Finnegans Wake, Book 2, Chapter 1. Every evening at lighting up o'clock sharp and until further notice in Phoenix Playhouse, bar and conveniences always open, Diddlem Club downstairs, entrancings, gads, a scrab, the quality, 1 large shilling. Newly billed for each wickaday perfumance, somdos matinees, by arraignment, child dreams hours, expurgated. Jam pots, rinsed porters, taken in token, with nightly redistribution of parts and players by the puppetry producer and daily dubbing of ghosters, with the benediction of the holy Genesius Archimedes, and under the distinguished patronage of their elderships the Oldens, from the 4 coroners of Findrias, Morias, Gorias, and Phalias, Messoirs the Corbs, Clive Salis, Galorius Kettle, Pobiedo, Lancy, and Pierre Dusort, while the Caesar-in-Chief looks on. Senate. As played to the Adelphi by the brothers Bratislavov, Herkin and Aristobulus, after Dumpteen revivals, before all the king's horsers, with all the queen's mum. And word loosed over 7 seas, crowd blast in Sertalanet Slavs and Latin sound script, in 4 tabloids, while Fern may called us until Fern make cold. The mime of Mick, Nick, and the Maggies, adopted from the Ballymooney blood-ridden murder by Blue Chin Blackdillin. Author ways, big story, featuring Glugg. Mr. Seamus McQuillan. Hear the riddles between the robot in his dress circular and the gangster in the rogues gallery. The bold, bad bleak boy of the storybooks who, when the tabs go up, as we discover, because he knew too much, has been divorced into disgrace, court by the Floras. Girl Scouts from St. Bride's Finishing Establishment demand acidulated. A month's bunch of pretty maidens who, while they pick on her, their pet peeve, form a Valkyrian license, the guard for Izad. Miss Booty's pot asked the attendantess for a leaflet. A bewitching blonde who dimples delightfully and is approached in loveliness only by her grateful sister reflection in a mirror. The cloud of the opal who, having jilted Glugg, is being fatally fascinated by Chuff. Mr. Sean O'Malley, see the chalk and sanguine pictographs on the safety drop. The fine, frank, fair-haired fellow of the fairy tales, who wrestles for top hole with the bold, bad, bleak boy Glugg, generally about caps or puds or tog bags or bog gats or chewing rudskin generally, or something until they adumbrace a pattern of somebody else or other, after which they are both carried off the set and brought home to be well soaped, sponged, and scrubbed again by Anne. Miss Cordy Coriendo, Grisham Scola, bring the babes, Peter, Porter, and the turkey. She distributes mandamus monies after perdonamento 100 loven entries. Posenellis must not miss our national rooster's rag. Their poor little old mother-in-law, who is woman of the house, playing opposite to Hump. Mr. Make-all gone. Read the sayings from Lax de la Saga in the program about King Ericus of Sweden and the spirit's whisperers in his magical helmet. Cap a pipe with watch and topper, coat, crest, and supporters, the cause of all our grievances, the whirl, the flash, and the trouble, who, having partially recovered from a recent impeachment due to egg everlasting, but thoroughly pro-converted, propounded for psychological studding sail once more, jib sheets and royals, in the semblance of the substance for the membrance of the umbrance, with the remnants of the emblant reveiling a quendam supercargo of the rockery, poop and heaven, engaged in entertaining in his pilgrim's custom house at Caherla home upon Escure those statutory persons, the customers. Components of the after-hour courses at St. Patricius's Academy for grown-up gentlemen. Consult the annuary, Cole Porter's subsuction. A bundle of a dozen of representative locomotive civics, each in quest of outings, who are still more sloppily served after every cup final by Saunderson, Mr. Canute Olsvinger, Tiff Days Off, Wouldn't Stop in Bad, Imitation of Flatfish, Torch-bearing Super-Ripe, Dud Half-Sovereign, Nochi Daily, Roly-Posies, Glen of the Downs, the Gungnir, his Guy's Works, his Ear Squack, his Loki Strokey AOSV. A Sharon Shiner and Spoil Curate, unconcerned in the mystery, but under the influence of the mildew and butt of Kate. Miss Rachel Leavarian, she tells forkings for Basque-fellers, under purd of Card Palmer, Teapot, Tosspot, Madam Delta, during the pauses. Cook and distrudge, which believes one thing that's whose be the churchyard or whort suck the Asgars, the show must go on. Time, the present. With futurist one-horse ballet battle pictures in the pageant of past history, worked up with animal variations amid everglaning mangrove mazes, and Bjorb tracklers by Messrs. Thud and Blunder, shadows by the film folk, masses by the good people, promptings by Elanio Vitali, long shots, up closes, out blacks, and stage tillets by Hexenshoes, Kochmacher, Inkjabon, and Ragnarag. Creations tastefully designed by Madame Bertha de la Mode. Dances arranged by Harley Quinn and Coolimbana. Jests, jokes, jigs, and jorums for the wake lent from the properties of the late cemented Mr. T. M. Finnegan. R.I.C. ripped lip masks and hair wigs by Ouida Nwiki. Limes and Floods by Crooker and Toll. Cope Pipe and Kappa Peterson. Hold Pine Hat with 24 vent holes by Morgan. Boss and String Bag from Heterodithros and All Ladies' Presents. Tree Taken for Grafted. Rock Rent. Phoenician Blends and Sardinian Doofposts by Shove Sorish and Won't Be Darfed. The Oak Mulberry Eek with Silk Trish Toomesh from Shop Sowry, Seedsman Chap. Grabstone Beg from General Orders Mailed. The Crack, that's Cork, by a Smoker from the Gods. The Interjection, Buckley, by the Fireman in the Pit. Accidental music providentially arranged by Larcher and Lacord. Melodiosities in pure fusion by the score. To start with in the beginning, we need hurtly be mark, a community prayer, everyone for himself, and to conclude with, as an exodus, we think it well to add, a chorale and canon, good for us all, us all. Songs between the acts by the Ambiamphians of Annapolis, Joan McCormick, male soprano, and Jean Sauslevin, bass noble, respectively. O Mr. Sogerman, If this is what ye do, then I'm not surpleased ye want that bottle of sauve wiki pew and off nunch de roche their last meech niche. To the summit scenes of climbback's catastrophe, the bearded mountain, Polymop Baratharush, and the river rumps to nursery, Madykins in undeform, the whole thugog-magog, including the portions understood to be admitted as the results of the respective titulars neglecting to produce themselves, to be wound up for an after enactment by a magnificent transformation scene, showing the radium wedding of night and morning in the dawn of peace, pure, perfect, and perpetual, waking the weary of the world. An argument follows. Chuffy was an angel then, and his sword flashed light like lightning. Full stop. Sing de sang de meekly loose, defendi nos from prowl abouts, make a shine on the cursed. Amen. But the Dublin self was in Glugger, that lost to learning, punked. He was spoffing and sputing, tossing like any sign, whipping his eye salt and gnashing his teeth over the brevities from existers and the other leobox of life. He hath kelchy chosen the clay blade and makes praises to his three of clubs. Depart from these, my corsets, is into overlusting fear. Axe of feet, hoof and jarity, athlete's longfoot, jowl up here. Amongst that number of evelings, but how pierceful in their suggestiveness were those first girly stirs, the zitterings of flight released, and twinglings of twitch bells in ronda laughter, with waverings that made shimmer shake rather nightily all the duck-sended airs and shy-lit beaconings from she hind him's back. Sammy, call on. Mary Lamb, she was chauffeuring all the diseasiness of the unheard of. Mary, Louisan, Shausapinas. If Ark could no more salve his agnos from the vials of Willy Woolly Woof. If all the Irish signics of her dip and dump help a bit, from an Father Hogan till Mother Masons, could not that Glugg to catch her by the collar of her brideness. Not Rose, Sevilla, nor Citronelle, not Esmeralda, Pervinca, nor Indra, not Viola even, nor all of them 4 themes over, but the month they'd stick in the melmellow jar. I am, twintamine, all these thing. Up tighty in the front, down again on the loose, trim and drubbing on her back, and a pop from her whistle. What is that, oh holy troopers? Is that giving yo? Up he stolped, glee you gees, with such a fling did I near see. Be me own and call me Hugh, and if you what you might call for me, I will wish you may call for you. And they are met face a facing, they are set force to force, and no such Copenhagen Marengo was less so fated for a fall, since in Glensamole of smiling thrushes, patch white, past O'Sheen a scowl. Rest thee, scowled brother, came the Evangelion, sombre, accusant, from all St. John's Wood to kill or maim him, and be dumb but ills arrested. Et will proffer to his delected one his trifle from the grass. A space? Who are you? The cat's mother. A time? What do you lack? The look of a queen. But what is that which is one going to prehend? seeks, puzzling his brains, the finder. The how to say to it is what is, he must who must, warden shall. A dark tongue's cunning, the op peril, the op lore, the poor lie. He asked of the hooded fire shield, but it was undergone into the Matthewed heaven. He sawed it from the loft, but that it bore nae mark, nae message. He looked upon the blooming rund, where only his corns were groaning. At last he listed back to the backline, how she pranked alone so jauntily, the scanned for schooling, with not a word from the wordless either. Item. He was hard set then. He wanted to go somewhere, while he was weeting. Utum. He wished to grieve on the good persons, that is, the four gentlemen. Otum. And it was not a long time till he was feeling true for him. He was good at Persia, and it was short after that he was fooling me haunt to me haint. He was an Injine ruber. Etum. He was at his thinker ant to give the four gentlemen the presence of a corpse, and this is what he would be willing. He fouled the ford, they found the hurtled stones, they fell ill with the gravy duck, and he sawed town with the roast of the meast. Etum. To whereby hangs our tales? Ah-ho, this poor Glugg. It is so said of him about his old font-mouther. Truly deplorable. Dire. And the fretfulness whom he inhabited after his Colleen-born janitor. Sometime tolerable, with that hairy antlets on him, and the bauble light bulging out of his sockets, whiling away she sprankled his all over with her noses of interregnation. How do you do that lack a lock a past the poker, please? And bids him tenter lute and early, sing sweet harp, thing to me unknown. So that Glugg, the poor one, in that limbo pool which was his subniciousness, he could scarce of all not know whether his mortar had burst a blabber, or if the vogelstones that hit his tympan was that merely his skull missed her. Missed his trump or midst his fluting? Ah-ho, Sicily, ah. The youngly delightsome frills and players are now showing drown, if bud one, or if in flory league drawings up consociately at the hinder sight of their commoner guardia. Her boy fiend, or theirs, if they are so plurielled, come up as a trappador, sinking how he must fand for himself by gazework what their colours wear, and they are all showing drawings up. Tyreton, catchaton, Tyreton, bah! Doth that not satisfy youth, sir? Quanti purty bellas, here, Madama Lefay, and what are you going to charm them to, Madama, do say? Cindery Nelly angled her slipper. It was Joe Chiney, but brought her a groom. He will angst of them from their commoner guardian at next line-up, who is really the rapier of the two, though the other brother can hold his own, especially for he bandaged it with his hand the whole time, my main. A simply gracious me, oh la! And we loose that tongue off his art. Hast thou feel like carbuncly ones, upon which his poor precocity, theirs is a little titter-tit of hilarity. Lad o' me so, see. And the word chary is at voiced ring soundingly by their toots ensembled, though not meaning to be clever, but just with a shrug of their hips to go to Troy and hark a freak at himself by all that story to the Ultramarines. Otherwise, holding their noises, they insinuate quiet, private, nay, he make peace in his preaches, and play with his steam. Werewolf, Ulf, taboo. So Ulf for his toffee talk, the rock he made raid, as slick as legs would run, and he anchored on his hunkers with the belly pressed, asking, why is my muffin stuffing eggs for these times? To wheat, breath and bother and water curse, then breath, no bother and more water curse, then no breath, no bother, but wara worms, and shim sharev shom. As rig agnolina to mount agnon, what she meaned he could not can. All she meaned was gold and silver up, as she meaned was some night's plum jam. It's driving her daft like he's so dumb. If he'd only talk instead of only gawk, as thought Yeatman hat stock hit stick all through his spokes, and if he would not wally so. He speak, sweetie bird, mitzi, though I did eat tough turf, I'm not the bog doxy. Have you mon brimstone? No. Or Helfurstein? No. Or Van Diemen's coral pearl? No. He has lost. Off to clutch, Glugg, for what? Shape your rears, Glugg, for wheel. Ring we round Chuff, farewell. Chuff's inners even, all rice with their whirl. Yet at here's what can her matter be? She's promised he'd eye her, to try up her pretty. But now it's so longed and so fared and so forth, Jerry for jauntings, alibi, fled. The flossies all and mossies all, they drooped upon her draped brimfall. The bowknots, the showlots, they wilted into woeblots. The perlograph, knew whichly whether to weep or laugh. For always down in Caroline as lovely Dinah's vaunt their view. Poor Isa sits a glooming, so gleaming in the gloaming. The tinsel's a touch tarnished, win no lovely noise around her swans. Hey, lass! Wolfier gleam she's so glooming, this poor apathete I sold. Her bowman's gone of a cool, be good enough to sympathize. If he's at anywhere, she's therefore to join him. If it's to nowhere, she's going to too. But if he'll go to be son of Francis, she'll stay daughter of Clare. Bring tansy, throw myrtle, strew rue. She is fading out like Journey's clothes, so you can't see her now. Still we know how day the dyer works, in dims and deeps, in dusks and darks. And among the shades that Eve's now wearing, she'll meet a new fiancé, tryst and trow. Mammy was, Mimmy is, minusculines to be. In the D dips a dame, and the dame desires a damsel, but the damsel dresses Dolly, and the Dolly does a Dulcie Damble. The same renew. For though she's unmarried, she'll after truss up and help that huzzy band how to hop. Hip it and trip it and chirrup and sing. Lord Chuffy's Sky Sheriff and Glugg's got to swing. So and so, toe by toe, to and fro they go round, for they are the angels, scattering nods as girls who may, for they are an angel's garland. Cachemire stockings, liberty garters, shoddy shoes, quicked out with silver, penny fair caps on their pinafore frocks, and a ring on her faux finger. And they leap so looply, as they link to light, and they look so lovely, noosed in a nuptious night. With usly glints in, and a coy glance out, they ramp it a little, a lissel, they romp right round in rout. Say them all, but tell them apart, cadens ando coloratura, Ardis rubretta, and A is arancia, Y is for yilla, and N for greenerin. B is boy blue, with orlisk O, while W waters the florets of Novembrance. Though they're all but merely a schoolgirl yet, these way they went, I' the view of the avenue, dancing goes entrancing roundly, Miss Oodles of Anims before the Lovium does like so, and then again does like so, and Miss Endos of Eons after Deus of Irie does like so, and then again does like so, the many wiles of Windsor. The grocer's bawd, she slips her hand in the haricot bag. The lady in waiting sips her sup from the paraffin can. Mrs. Wildhair Quick Doctor helps her scalps up in the casual way of the flashed instinct. She herds if a tinkle of thunder. The widow McGreevy, she knits cats' cradles. This bountiful actress leashes a harrier under her tongue. And here's the girl who she's kneeled in cold fashion, and she's told her priest, psst, she's pot on a chap. And this last not least, this rickisome woman, who she writes foot fortunes many times over in the nursery dust with her capital thumb. Buzz. All runaway sheep, bound back Bo Peep, trailing their teens behind them. In these ways wend they, in those ways went they. Winnie, Olive and Beatrice, Nellie and Ida, Amy and Rue. Here they come back, all the gay pack, for they are the florals, from fancy and pansy to papavere's blush. Forsake me not, while there's leaf there's hope, with prim Tim's rose and Mary May's blossom, all the flowers of the Ansel's garden. But vice reversing there out from those palms of perfection to Anger Arbour, tree rack Moniton, scrossly out of scout of ocean, virid with woad. What tournaments of complimentary rages rocked the divlin from his punch pole to his Tommy's shinter, as he displayed all the oathward signs of his visible disgrace. He was feeling so funny and floored for the cue, all over which girls as he don't know whose hue. If Goose's gauges but would fain smile him a smile, he would be fondling a praise he ate some nice bit of fluff. But no jest reveals the uncown oath. They're all odds against him, the beasties. Scratch, start. He dove his head into Wat Murray, gave Stuart Ryle a puck on the plexus, wrestled a hurry-come union with the gilly beg, wiped all his sinses, Marshall and menial, out of Shrove Sunday McPherson, excremunked it as freely as any froth-blower into Mac Isaac, had a belting bout chaste to chaste with McAdoo about nothing, and, childhood's age being aye the shame least, Teletatarin, tasterin, tastum, tostum, tarascon, tortun. Vestimentivorous, chlamydophagian, imbretilated himself for any time untellable with what hung over to the Mach and Oshie middle from the Mach sickeries of the breeks. Home. All while, Moosh Mishuis from Mungie Muncie, praying in his mind, son of Everall, and within himself he swore, Macnoon Maggety Mag, cross of a coppersmith bishop, he would split, he do big squeal like holy trick pat. Seek hells where from Yank Islanders the patriots' absolation, Moknitsa, Ginnick. He takes skiff come first the dagreen day over wide tumbler, rough and dark, till when bow of the shower, show of the bower, with 3 shirts in the wind, pagoda permitent, Crocca Levante, the Bruce, the Coriolano, the Ignacio, from Prudels to the secular, but from the Cunman to the Nauter. Bye, Brassolis, I'm breathing. Our war, Duddy Gray. A Conin's dream of Lord of Circles. He here shows finis. Gel chaser no more. Missionary for the ministrary to all the Sems of Aram. Shimach, Ian of Era, Mums for his maxim, bands for his book, and dodge some Dora for hedgehog show mistress. And Uncle Sealant's coach for indigence, disconnection of the succeeding. He whole hog himself for Carberry banishment care of Pennsylvania, British America, to melt Mrs. Gloria of the Bunkers Trust, recorporated Prunty, by the meteoromancy of linguified Heisrogan, quit the hail a hurry Laracor, and catch the Panamy Turicum, and regain that absentee Tariisti, his sita immediata, by an alley and detour with fair card available getrenty years. Right for Rovey the roader, from the safe side of distance, libera nostalgia, Piete Laurentio Tuli, Euro pra nobis, every monk his own castle, where every little ligger is his own Liogotenente, with inclined jams in full purview to his pro-nose, and to the Daratane at his rare dos. Fuis finister, fair escaper, he would with the greatest of ease, before of waiting mid-hook by dear home thrashed on the raging canal, for other sights of Jordan, heave a heavy water boy, make one of Hissins with a knockow and the chow collegians, and fire off Giornor foul Sebastian's mulmud, his first epistle to the Hebrews. From Cernilius Slom time propositus of Tomaria to the clutch in Antioch, salvo! Laddigs and jointuremen, no more turden scalds, free leaves for abribades, tin salmon in the yard, with harm and aches till farther alters, wild primates not stop him from at rearing and writing in handy antics, nom de plume, gout strap fenlands, and send charge for merry Inklanders. And don't you loch if his vine shankies swemmy, for he is the general, make no mistake in he is General Jinglesome. Go in for scrivenary with the satiety of Arthurs, and aspiquerish and inform to the old sniggering publican press and its nation of sheep-copers about the whole plighty troth between them. Malady of milady with melody of malody, she, the lalage of lionesses, and him, her knave errant. To wild rose like Gilligan from croppy Crowhor, for all within crystal range. Eucalypti, Lothar's leave, Nemo and Patria, the luncher out, Skilly and Charybdis, a wandering wreck, from the Mermaid's Tavern, bully famous, Naughty calves, mother of misery, Walpurgis, nacked. Malish, he would bear to the untired world of Lyme and Conan and Austria, and what a strip poker globetrottle they pairs with looks. How Ho Fallows, his guffer, the Sabbatarian, might faction split his beard. He, too, had a great big O in the megafundum of his Thomas Shunders, and how her Letty shape, his gummer, that congealed sponsor, she had never cessed at waking malters among the Jamisons since the cloft that meat-axe dealt her made her microcosm as gap as down low. So they fished in the kettle and fought free, and if she bit his tail about, all hat tiffin for thee. He would just sit it all right down, and just as he would just set it all up rightfully rate in blotch and void, yielding to no man his hymns ignorant, seeing how heartily sorry he was, owning to the contrition of his bikestool. And, reading off his flesh skin and writing with his quill bone, fill full 9 quires with it for the auditors, Caxton and Pollock, a most miraculous Jeremiah-head Sind book for all the peoples, under the presidency of the Sochus of Sinonescu, had to be held in. thoroughly enjoyed by many, so many on blocked boyret season, and for their account utterly admired by her husband in sole intimacy, about whose told his inner sense, and the gruesome heads yorick of his spectroscope, and why he was off colour, and how he was ambosed upon by the very spit of himself, first on the cheek side by Michelangelo, and besounds that over on the jowdy side by Bill C. Babby, and the suburbs formule why they provincials drollo expelled him out of the homity dormitory narrow need domum asco de basco de pesco de bisco, because all his creature comfort was in omulet finis herbis and in arc finis orbe, and no master how mustard mine never mend, he could neither swalk in nor either swimp in the flood of socialism, and the best and shortest way of blacking out the catalogue of all the sorters of sexton, until he would accost her comb ill foul in teto dos, as a wagoner would his mud-hildy wiesendonk at their tryst in Parisi, after tournaments of 1,000 years, bread cast out on waters, making goods at maturity, mandamoiseau of Casanuova and Mademoiselle from Armentières. Neblo novis ni novo novio, novio and nubian enoviation, accetanti tempoli. He would see through severals of sanctuaries, may what may, might who might, so as to meet somewhere if produced on a demi-pension for his whole lifetime, payment in goo to slee music and poison o' company, following which, like ipsi secum, when he fingon to foil the fluter, she could have all the Gias she moohooed after, for and rickwards to herself, including signs of sonorous silence, while he, being brung up on soul butter, have recourse, of course, to poetry, with tears for his coronation, such as engines weep, was life worth leaving? Nay. Toledov, Tritrin, so crazing stone, arty, reminiscent, sensitive. At bandstand finale on Gran Carriero, dreaming largesse of life-size over early lived offs. All old satyrs of the sow scepter, highly nutritious family histrionic, genitrixling with Avis and Avia, that simple pair, and descendant down on valutipads by a vuncular process to Nurus and Nuverca. Those notorious nepotists, circumpictified in their sobrine senses, patris all of them by the gloss on their germane faces, and their so serene eyes like transparents of vitreous patruits to a man, the Archimede levers of his economy world. Remember thee, Castle Throwing, once propserops treed, now stohong baroque. And oil paint use a poem, if you'll trace me their title, to where was a hovel, not a havel, the first rattle of his juniverse, with a tim-tum tingling, and a next, and next, gin a paddy, got a petty, guessies, gif it up, while itch ish shone. My God, alas, that dear old tum-tum home, whereof in youthful port I prayed, amook the vertigrassy convict Walsall dazes, and cloitered for a mormiant in thy bosom shade. His mouth full of ecstasy for Xing Yong Ting is in China, from Ur Yumi across the Timor Sea, here Pong, malaventure, shot pinging up through her the arrowroot of his wisdom, who thought him a fool all, feast king of Shelley's by googling Lovey, regally Fraytherum, eagerly plumed, and wasped Gumboil Alrithy prods, wretched some horsery McGee plods, coffin acid, order carry plods, dents floppins McGardy, as thought it had been Zowen in two. Holy sanguish blooded up, disconvulsing the fixtures of his phiz, a pang which his temporary chewer made him a crazy chump of a Havajaloob Cilias. Joshua Croesus, son of none, though he shall live for millions of years, a life of billions of years, from their roseate glows to their violast lustres, he shall not forget that pucking Pegasus. Holy howls, bowels, and bloody acres, like nothing on earth. But, by Jove, Cronaides, seed of some, after all he had bait his breastplates for forgetting his bird's place, it was soon that he re-had himself. By a prayer? No, that comes later. By contrite attrition? Nay, that we passed. Mid-exorcism? So is richt. And it was so. In Malthus Moramor resumed his soul with, go fetch yourself to all it out of this old Stein song. He threw his fit up to his ears, railed his polygon eyes, snivelled from his snores, and blew the guff out of his horny pipe. The hop-joint jerk of a ladle broom jig that he learned in Loco Foco when a red-hot turnspite he. Under reign of old Roastin and the bow rats killers, radios. Why was that man, for he's doing her wrong. Lookery looks, how he knots in his entrails. Mookery mooks, it's a grip for his gripes. Seekery seeks, why he's biting his head off. Cookery cooks, it's his spurt of coal. And may his tar-pitched dilute not give him chromitis. For the moe that blinks you blank is mostly carbo. When the inflammabilis might persuade his comburenda with a pure flame, and a true flame, and a flame all too gasser, soot. The worst is over. Wait, and the doominy mag may gang to pieces. With Dinny Fanine he canty ho. In the lost of the gleaming sousy most, for he would himself deal a treatment as might be trusted in anticipation of his inculmination unto fructification for the major operation, when pip, a message interfering, intermitting, interskips from them, pet, on the Hertzian waves, caught her Van Icing names, caught her Estelle, a butterfly from her zip-clasped handbag, a wounded dove a-started from, escaping out her forecoats. I'll wail for yous, O Doherlint, the poetesser, and around its scorched cap she was twilled a twine of flame to let the latiest know she's married. And Pim it goes back-bald, taut burns it so lest. A claribel come back to errand, hers before his even posted ere penned. Here's your change, think you met him? Go daft, noon madden, mind the step, please stoop, oh to please, stop. What saying? I have surrender from to him now, dear mate ashore, so completely till I can get redressed, which means the end of my stays in the languish of Tintangle. Is you zealous of me, brother? Did you boo moiety loud? You supported to be the unconditiously rejected, Satanly laid. Can that sob stuff, Wingy Willie, stop up, Mavrone, Can that sob stuff, Whingy Willie? Stop up, Mavrone, and sit in my lap, Pipette, though I'd much rather not. Like things are, MDS is all invincibles. Decoded. Now a run for his money, now a dash for her dot. Old cocker, young crowie, sifada so son. A brand new speed hound outstripperous on the wind, like a waft to wing-weary one, or a sauce to the coast guard, for directly with his whoop stop and an epilepsy dando a tishy, in appreciable less time than it takes a glaciator to submerge her in Atlantis, was he again agob. Before the trembly ones, a spark's gap off, double dash gished, got in her lap in a simple sailor maid, and shaking the storm out of his hiccups. The smartest vessel you could find would lazily him on her knee as her lucky for the Rio Grande. He's a pigtail tar, and if he hadn't got it too thick, he'd a telltale tall of his picture on the wall, with his vulture in the papers for cutting mountain legs and capers. Letting on he'd just be japers, and his tail cooked up. Goal! It's won by a length. Angelina's, hide from light those hues that your sinbow may bring to light. Though down to your dower strip he's bent to knee, he maunts no ledgings here. For a haunting way will go, and you need not make your mow. Find the French for frocks, and translace it into shocks of such as touch with show and show. He is guessing at hers for all he is worse, the seagoer. Hark to his willy geese's goosling by, and play fair, lady. And note that they who will, for exile's sake, can for a dog, while for them that won't leave England, says now for no. For he falters how he hates to trouble them without. But leaving codhead's mitre and the heron's plumes sinistrant to the server of servants and wrecks of regums, and making a bolder dash for liberty of speech, he asks, not have you seen a match being struck, nor is this powder mine, but, letting pun plays pass to earnest, haps thee Joan of Fergs? No. Haps thee May Jaunties? Now how? Haps thee Perkhouses nuncy bellies? Now how? Asky, go on, Mikako, get. Ping and ping, one ping, one pong. And he did a get, there in nayance, and slink his hook away. Alligator come alligator, like a chemista in chemises, whom the hurricane hurries in hot foots, zingo, zango, sigur, to hoots of Utskut, Urkund, Jamal, Kum, Yala, Yawash, Yak. For he could chia patio, but a scarp snack of pure underfallen Engelsk, melon moon or tartar torts, suki saki or sappy soppin, as rascally and as baskly as your cheese chalk cow cud Spanish. Makato, waga criaude, gala gala now she is, yet right divining, do not was. Hovo bovo half-a-gate, hoke di mazzi and camicia. He had his spirits all fouling on him, to vet he most griposely was bedizzled and debuzzled. He had his tristiest cavalier on, and looked like bloody hell. A shelling, a cockshy, and be donkey shot at. Or to pay so basant to join the armada. But sin Chopanza, could any body which walked this world with eyes wide open have looked twinsomer than the curl he left behind him? Candidatus viridosus aurelus in Sinalab. Of all the green heroes ever wore coton breeches, the whitemost, the goldenest, how he stud theirs with himself mookst kevinly, and that anti-revolutionary, the churchman childfather from tonsor's tuft to almonder's toes, the hagiography in duotrigesimi, son soptimost of sire six tusks, the mea queenie's sign assure, heavenly body time, in the wreath of his near-sissies, the mickly dazzly eely oily with Lewis the curls, the solnitzer of Zwestel's priestess, their trail the tractive, and dem dandy painies knows the play of day eyelids, with his gamecock spurts and his smile liquid glue, the souciest odor ever weanling wore, whilst his host of spritties, los pirindernies, they went pea-henning, and ripper or pad around him, pilgrim princeps, carolor Kevinhour, in new choristic congratulations, while purlingly excited ripper, alluding to him by all the nicknames in the litany with the terms in which no little Dulcinea ever thinks about implying, except to her future's year, and sending him perfume most puffs to set his fire more than to tease him. Should we help, now you've mass-mured, you to recollect a bit? Yes, Mick, yeah, missy, that he, the fine-hued, the fair-haired, the far-ahead, might both save unto each but every one, as far as Safraster's soon, the have mercy on hers of his kissier license, meanings, and you're the injurious till better rare. We know you like Latin with esses and pures, and your liber as they see. We certainly like gurgles love, the gnarly gargly so. Arabiji, tell that old Frank a boyuk to bellows up the tombucky in his tum-tum argan, and give us a gust of his gushy old goof. Hymn number 29. Oh, the singing! Happy little girl he comes to have adolfed such an Adelphus. Oh, the swinging hop-ups so go holding, they've come to chant encore. They say their sonnets the maiden's prayer to the Messiager of his neighbors, prostituting their selves eachwise, and combinedly, Fatiha, fold the hands, be it honoured, bow the head. May thine evenings e'en be blissful, even of bliss, as we so hope for ablution, for the sake of the farbung and of the saints and of the holy drops. Amims. A pause. The horizon arises misty white as Osman glory, ebbing westward, leaves to the soul of light its fading silence. Ah la 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 la, the turquoise sky. Then, Xanthos, 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 we thank to thine, mighty innocent, that didst bring it off fweet. Should in after years it became about you will after desk job duty becoming a bank midland mansioner, we and I shall reside with our obeisant servants among Burke's mobility at La Roseraie, Aylesbury Road. Red bricks are all hellishly good values if you trust to the roster of ads, but we'll save up ourselves and nab what's nicest and boskiest of timber trees in the neighbourhood. Ankel's plot, lukewarm oaks, Turkish hazels, Greek firs, incense palm, etc. Cedras. The hypsometers of Mount Anvil is held to be dying out of arthitaxis, but praise Saint Larix O'Toole, the witch elm of Manilog, is still flourishing in the open, because it's native of our nature, and the seeds was sent by fortune. We'll have our private pally peachum pillar posterns for lovesick letterines finally affianced to our front railings and swings, hammocks, tight-taut bellatines, accommodation hooks and prismic bath boits to make envy eyes mouth water, and wonder when they binocular us from their embrazured windows in our garden rare. Fiat, fiat shall be our number on the autokineton, and Chubby and his chuffs ours for our only chauffeur. Chauffeur. Tea will be waiting for uns as I saw you at the first entries. Our cousin gourmand, Percy the pup, will denounce the sniff-nomers of all callers, where among our seamy sister Tabitha, the nine-lived, will extend to the full her hearty welcome, while the turf and twigs they tattle, tin-tin, tin-tin. Lady Marmella Shortbread will walk in for supper with her marchpane switch on, her necklace of almonds and her poirette Sunday dress with bracelets of honey and her cochineal hose and the caramel dancings, the briskly Bess from Booty's town and her sucking staff of ivory mint. You mustn't miss it or you'll be sorry. Charmeuse Chloe's, glistering jewels, Lydia-light fans and perfumed cinnarettes. And the Prince Lemonade has been graciously pleased. His 6 chocolate pages will run bugling before him and cocoa cream toddle after with his stick sword in a pink cushion. We think his sparkling headiness ought to know Lady Marmella. Louisum his for Lysum hers. He's not going to Cork till Cantilemes, or may hope till Rose Easter or St. Tibble's Day. So now Nioman knows. The foamer's in his fin, the momer's her in hin. A paralone, and Dublin's all a din. We'll sing a song of single month in Yule too, and Yule. Here our notes. There's the key. 1, 2, 3, chowers! So come on, ye wealthy gentrymen, with through frocks full of fun. Thin, 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 the alley and the lively, thou Billy with the coo, for the jog-a-jig of Christmas nice, and sing a mistletoe. Hip champeré, hip, hip champeré. Oh, you long-tailed blackmen, poke it up behind me. Hip champeré, hip, hip champeré. And Jessies, push the pump kick round. An alleluia! Since the days of Romulus and Remus, the Pavinos have been strident through their struts of chapel disute. The valses have mead and yodeled through the pearly ooze of Ballybow. Many a Miss Cloudy has tripped daintily along that Hercourt strayed railway, and the rigadoons have held ragtime revels on the plateau plain of Grange O'Gorman. And though since then sterlings and guineas have been replaced by brooks and lions, and some progress has been made on stilts, and the races have come and gone in time, that chef of seasoners has made his usual astute use of indigestibles, and what not will be is nor was. Those Danciadiles and Cancanzanis have come stimmering down for our begamement through the bedeftdom of Poe's tiorns, the obscecity of Pa's steepucks, as lithe and limb-free limber as when Mommy mummed at Ma. Just so still with the knots are their flower heads now, and each of us all has a love stalk unto herself, and the tot of all tits of their understamens is as open as he can possibly she, and is tornus old straight gut or side waist, according to the corsets of things feminate, towards him in heliolatry, so they may catch cup in their calziettes, as they go troping those parachutes from his musculone pistol, for he can I spy through them to their self-colours, never the least their tissue peepers, meaning mulberry mesh, the time of appling flowers, a guarded figure of speech, a variety of perfume, a bride all sea mist in so one. As likely as sea sol, oh my good miss, oh my great mess, oh my prizelessly precious. While dewfully as dim dumb bells, all a listen to his elixir, love lit. And they say to him, Enchanted, dear sweet, stain us less. Young confessor, dearer, dearest, we hear about a bloss. O coeli cola, thee salutant, pattern of our unschooled, pageant master, deliverer of soft missives, round the world in 40 mails, bag, belt, and balmy beam, our Barna boy, our chap-a-chap, with that Pam pipe in your put-away, gab-barab, when you will be after doing all your sightseeing and sound-hearing and smell-sniffing and tasting and tenderum stotchings in all Danegal, send us your adorables, thou overblaseed, a wise in letters play of all you conceive, chief Celtic chappie, from your holy post now you hast ascertained ceremonially our names. Unclean you art not, outcast thou art not. Leper's tower, the Carmen's loci, has not blanched at our pollution, and your intercourse at 90 leg splits does not defile. Untouchable is not the scare crown is on you. You are pure, you are pure, you are in your purity. You have not brought stinking members into the house of Amanti. Erebinam, titep notep. We name them to the hall of honor. Your head has been touched by the god Enel Ra, and your face has been brightened by the goddess Aru Gaitok. Return, sainted youngling, and walk once more among us. The rains of Damani are massical as of year. And Baraza is all aflower, Psycher of calmy days, as shiver as shower can be. Our breed in better class is in brood and bitter pass. Labby cleath longs. But we're counting on the clock. The great cackler comes again, sweet staker, able lord of all our Hallowees. We, to be slightly more familiar perhaps than is sickly more than necessary, toots Philomelas, as well as Magdalenes, were draw pairs with 2 pin marks, BVD and BVD dot. So want lotteries of ticklets post hastem, you appreciate, so as to be very dainty, if an issa spell, and so as to be verily dandy dainty, if an ishi billy, of and on, to and for, by and with, from you. Let it hit back hurry his wayward ere the missive has time to take herself off. 'Twill be o'er the more wilfully into meat, if the coming offence can send our shudders before. We seem to have been elsewhere, as though the had passed in our suspense. Next to our shrinking selves we love sensitive as best, for they are the angels, brick, fave, jonquil, sprig, fleet, nocturne, smiling brews, for they are in angel's garment. And we will be constant, what a word, and bless the day, for whole hours too, yes, for a sod long sign as we shall be, heeing in our created being of ours elvishness, the day you befell, you dreadful temptation. Now promise us, as at our requested, you will remain ignorant of all what you hear, and, though if whilst disrobing to the edge of risk, the bispings of idle hours that Saturn finds to do, draw a veil till we next time. You don't want to peach, but be jimboed if ye do. Perhaps we earnest too may. How many months or how many years till the myriadth and first become? Bashfulness be topped. May he culper, may he mix and mass culper. Talk with a hare and you wake with a tartars. That's mus, says the law. List, Kiki Lacey, that pervergened, and Bianca Mutantini, her conversa, drew their fools longth, finish first. Herzog van Valentam, but me and Meother Raven, my cousine of mine, have more good 3 chancers, we authors after Bonaparte's. The methinks smile of me, my whole soul assumption, she's nowt me without, as we weem twin here then. That I love like my selfish, like Smithereens' La Robin songs, like June's nuts lost, like the blue of the sky, if I stoop for to spies between my whites you might call hims, between my white you might call hims. How their dew makes their trial, ears wax for Sir Sword, dung bollets for the Irish riflers, queens wealth of cucumb in their combs for the Jenny Joes, caro caressimus, honey swarns were mellispawns, will be all buzzy one another minis for the mere effect that you are so full of pollen yourself. Teo meo, door. We feel unspeechably thoughtless over it all here in Gizzy Gazelle, Tark's Bimbo Wood, so please kindly communicate with the original since we are only yearning as how to burgeon. It's meant millions of sentiments dead lost or mislaid on them, but, master of snakes, we can slough change in the nip of an apple so long as we can all see for deeds set on your quick. By the hook in your look, we're eyed for an eye. Were you begging the question with your Lutean bow round Monk Messerag? And whenever you're tingling in your trout, we're sure to be tangled in our enticements. It's game, ma chère, be off with your shepherd dress on. Up some cowda, be hose your handmaids for the Lord. To these nunts we are but yours, and amateurs, yet well come that day we shall ope to be oars. Then shalt thou see, seeing the sight, no more hoaxates, no more gifting in menage. Her fancies for a friend, and then that fellow yours after. This follows ours. Vania, vaniorum, domne vanius. High time is ups, be it down, and to outs according. When there shall be foods for vermin as full as feeds for the fat, eat on earth as there's hot in oven. When every clitty of a scullery maid shall hold every yard scullion's right to stim her uprecht for whimsoever, whether on privates, whether on in publics. And when all us romance Catholines shall have ones for all emancipated, and the world is made free, methanks, so much for his mainstay man, and all his biggietons, so till coquette, to tell cocotte, to teach Connie Curly to touch catty hair, and tip Carminia to tap la cherie, though where the diggings he dwellst amongst us, here's nobody knows save Mary. Why, for we go wringing hands in gyro-rondo. These bright elects, consent consorted, they were waltzing up their willside with their princesome handsome Angeline Chioff, while in those whereabouts their want bears way, meering unknown, a place where pigeons carry fire to seeth viands, a miry hill, Belgen sore footh. Oaths and screams and bowly groans with a belchy bub-hub and a hella below bedemmed and bediabled, the remaining Lucisphere. Hell's den, wells else, London's breach lay foul and up, uncouth not be broached by puns and riddles. Yet the ringade run rosily, with a drat for a brat, you. Yash ate sausage and mash, so he found he bash, poor Yash. And you want to make one of our picnic party? No honorary whist on our Sophia list. for poor Gligger was dazed and late in his grave. Aye, he laid in his grave. But lo, boys, lo, he rises, shrivering, with his pitiful eyes and his woes become wise. Sissimus, examen of conscience scruples, now he, to the best of his memory schemado. No mere were ever siding on the stolen, with his two mess cinquinence in the height of his thumbstull. No more singing all the dags in his sengagang, expressly at hand counterhand. Trinitatis kink had muddled his dome, pecat and pent for pre. Him serf munchiown, maiden born of thug tribe into brood blackmail, duly redicant albigenesis hennesses. He, by blenching mocked of the goals, profor him penance and come off enternatural. He, self-sufficient, sir, egg-scomotor in chaff, sporty colorissimo, what though the dust rose in his lavabad eyes, make Paulin Rossum, good savor's queen with the stem of sweet Attrick, fit for king of Zundas. Out of Bianconi's hiking a hake like any nudge Marogarood, all over terracotta. No more throw acids, face all lovabilities. Appeal for the union and play fraternities. He praise Saint Calambarnus, make clean breast sack of goody girl, now as ever drank milk soap from a spoon. Weed-hearted boy of potter and mother, chip of old Finn the flinter, twig of the hider that tanned him. He go calaboosh all same, he tell him out. Toof loof man, he strip him all mussy calico, blong him all same, he tell him all out how he make what name. He, through volcanic connection, relation belong this remarkable Mollyman, annex, andrum, parley glutton, pure blood, Jebusite, centi proscent, erserum spoking, drug mouth storehouse, entrance on back, most open on the ladies. He, in peach skin shantungs, possible sooth to say, notwithstanding far former guiles, and he gaining fish considerable, by saving grace after avalanche, to look most profitable out of his smiley sky blue eye. He repeat of him as pious alios, cause he asked for shave and haircut. People said he'd shaped of he-goat, where he just was sheep of Hergot, with his title togged top. Not true what chronicles is bringing his portmanteau primed full potato words. Big, dumb, crum, digaditchy, say short again actor, even while assassinated by summon. He coaxiorum a penny silver's offerings, blow adonages with candid zuckers on Spinish's walk, in presence to Lilith maidenettes, for at blew his nose for him with prurious polygamous inattentions, he having that pecuniarity almond spectacularly in Heathercliff emergency on gale days, because Suffrant Chronic had a plenitude of house torts. Colossal raw romantic, not worth one bronze lie, scholarina say as he. Grade vike cuddle puller walk in her sleep, his pig index weg femty fum funts. Of so little is her timid trouseness, great for greeting his immenseness. Such soon as set they were, her ewies, as his oraholes. Calidavache. How could one classically, one could not critically, aininess lightning shaft only for lovelit smug pipe, his mistress mare shame, of cupric tresses, the form white fomenine, the amber-sandaled, after ass doctors tallops on a muttony lecture, a mish, holy balm of Saint Mary's. He is as good as a mountain, and everybody what is found of his gents. He knew Maestro Wilkinson, fur-framed Nordwogen's Compton, with complexion of blushing dolomite fanned by Ozion Brices. What never saw his bedseed farer in Nouver, met his swigamore, have his ignominy from prima signation of being Master Milchku, queerest man in the benighted queendom, and add craft aidant how he found the kids. Other accuse him as Loch-Need, Forson Keener, Dopin Stocknob, all a melting moat after rheumatism. Purely, simply Tammy Ratkins, the curds of Copt on the Berberutters and their Bedouins. Even was she's whole begeds off before all his neighers in the code be Israel. No good, not one zows. They white-liveried rags-ups, 2 whales of the sea of deceit. The bloody blab-stirred shooters, 3 dromedaries of the sands of Calamdonia. As is noteworthy to shock his hind, griefed on them, such askers and their Ruperts they are putting in for more Oscars in all false Liarnos. The frockin'-halted victims, horror firm is again sempre lotta Carsons. They would lick their lenses before they would negatize a John Petter from his sodalities. In his contrary and unreality, which Bishop Babwith bears to his witness, is his justification of volumses. This Mr. Here Assessor Nielsen, of sore state hearing, diseased, formerly with adenoics, den feed all lighty, lack sleep great change of retiring family buckler, highly accurate in his every thinks, from 10 cents coupo to bargain basement, live with household of number 7, wide awake, wound about, walking bets, weaklings, in black velvet on Georgian mission, seenest mangy years his rear in the lane pictures, blanking same with autonaut and annexes, and got a darling baby boy, bucktooth, the thick of a gobstick, coming on ever so nurse's nursery, Gracie's to goodest, at 81. That's why all Park's up excited. That's why all Park's up excited about his gunfather. That's why ecclesiastics and the crime ministers preaching him mornings and makes a power of spoon victuals out of his proverbs. That's why he, persona erecta, glyceraumen, arsenicful femornizer, for a trial by Julia's in celestial sun hat with 2 purses agitating his theopat with walkabout shake, rather incoherent from 118 to 118 bis, young shy gay youngs. Simply far infusing up pretty tipidities to lock up the rain o' daisies and be nice and 20 in the shade. Old Grand Tuttet touch her up of young poetographies, and he turn around the brup thread out frumpishly, like her Sam Hortioner falls some make one noise. It's his last lap, gigantic, fare him weel. Revelation, a fact, true bill, by a jury of matrons, hump for humbleness, dump for dirts, and to make a long stony batter, and with warly show a perfect sight, his thing went the holy way ret up, suffragate straight. Help me too, contrast the toga, his fiery goose mother, loudse, toutse, woman who did, he tell princes of the age about. You sound on me, judges, suppose we brisken up, kings, meet the mem, avalinth, all viviparous out of couple of lizards. She just as fenny as he is vulgar. How lat soever her latest still, her saw logs come up all standing. Sing a psalm of sexpians, apocryphal of rhyme. His cheek mauve alla for river ever, her Alanol and his Corin never, teach it her the be the owner of thyself. So she not swap her ecock hijim for Howardin's castle, England, Wales, but be the alliance of Earn on his flame investicoat, the fibule of Bruce bronze to his winter mantle of Pointefract. Who not knows she, the Madam Cooley Coley, spa wife to Laird of Manna, when first come into the pictures more as hundreds elskerelks, yards of anims, call away, factory fresh and fuming at the mouth, wronged by whem wed me not. McGrath, he taketh a rap for that early party, and whenceforward Annie Mama and her fierty bustles, terrified of mere gnomes of mountains and furry bound to be back in her mightin' Betty. She fainted all souls at Ping Pune, and gets a pan in her stomach from the biolopolers in their purwar. Yet Jack dictating all around her about his poorliness due to panelism, and grime for that he harboured her when fame is soul, her Zoravarn lord and Givner general, and led her in ancient consort room, and bound her dorrant coverture, so as she could not steal from him all's her ordamen, so as if ever she's believed by checking Bruce's death, since both was parties to the feed its hetman McComb her foots the funeral. Meanwhile she neuter him Jason from her Elmer's almsdish, Gianter and Cheney, and Siem as Bibrondus with Foley Signers tinner Roman and she, to fish o' the ladwigs out of his lodwags, like a skittering kiddie scattering hails, when his favourites were all beruffled on him, and her own undesirables gesticulating. It was such a blowick day, wind and wand and wild, like wench and wend and wanton. The why, if he but would bite and plug his baccy pipes, and renounce the devlins and all their pumps, and kip the streel walkers out of the plague, and nettles' milk from sickling the honeycomb, and cop Oola Boobo selling 40 treeps. And she would make massa diners with her sovereign ear dealinch, and delicate her nut-brown glory clerk, and maid Berenice, and hang herself in Osman's town St. Megans, and make no more mulierage before Mahatmas or Mussulmans, but would undulate her sugar-loft hat from Alpolieri with a vive baselgia and a clamus de potria, like any purple cardinal's princess, or woman of the grave word to the papal legate from the vat you come. Monsignor Robinson Crucis, with an ass of milk to his cowmate, and chitterlings on account of all he quaqueducts for the honor of Rome, and the nations abhorred him, and what mezzo scudo to Sant Perciorelli, that gave Louis Marius Josephs their loyal devouses, to be offered up misses for vouts with witters. Hear, O world without, tiny tattling, backwoods be wary, dainty trees go Dutch. But who comes yon with pyre on pole top? He who relights our spearing torch, the moon. Bring low-lave branches to mud cabins, and peace to the tents of Seder Neomini. The feast of Tober Nigglers is at hand. Shop, Innisfail. Temple tells the bells. Is Singajing a sanga song? For all in onslaws by. And the hag they dame name cover few hists from her lane. And haste, 'tis time for bairns to hame. Chick childs, come ho to roo. come home to rue, we chick-childs do, when the wild werewolf's abroad. Ah, let's away and let's gay and let's stay chase where the log fire's burning. It darkles, tinkt, tinkt. All this our phenomenal world. Yon marsh pond by road mark verge is visited by the tide. Ave Maria, we are circumveloped by obscuritads, man and belves frarin. There is a wish on them to be not doing or anything, or just for rugs. Zoo code, der def co leon and piz, call us Pyrrhus. Ha! Where is our highly honour-worthy, salutable spouse founderess? The foolish one of the family is within. Ha ha! Hazor, where's he? At house toes pity, with Nancy's hands. Chit, chit. Hound through the maze has fled. What ho! Isegrim under lolling ears. Farewell. And wheaten bells bide breathless. Ah. The trail of Gill not yet is to be seen. Rocks drops, up and down dell, a craggy road for rambling. Nor yet through starland that silver sash. What ear is oaring? Langong late. Se long cielo. Silome, silo. Celine, celo. Amun, arc? No. Naught stirs and spinny. The swayful pathways of the dragonfly spider stay still in readery. Quiet takes back her folded fields. Tranquil thanks, adieu. In deer haven, embraced, alleged, enjointed and unlatched, the birds, tomalized too, quail silent. Lothen, Northen, was avant there a while. Now continue as Lord the Leon is shoot size. The time of lying together will come, and the wildering of the nicts till cocky doodle albins aurore. Panther monster, send lee barrow loads amaro, while Lovedom sleeps. Illinfant has sang his triumph. Great is a life is magistrodontos, and after knee prayer pious for Behemoth and Mahamoth will rest him from his tusker toils. Salam, salam, rhino horn is snout so pig fellow, but him is God's worst. Kiki cookie, hoppa dorm, so beest. No chair of beagles, francling of peacocks, no muzzing of the camel, smuttering of apes. Lights, page boy, lights, brights we'll be brights, with the help of Hanukin's lamp. When otter leaps in outer parts, then you remember May. Her hung-maid moans are blooming. Look, to greet those lows on coast of amethyst. Arklo's seafire seaman's lore, and wextward Warner forth hooker croakers. And now with Robbie Brer Fox his fishy fable listened out, the thread somewhat torn and knots in its entarguments. The Pesiolines in Lifayetta's bow have stopped squiggling about Juno and the Walk, and Freya Quintaism, and Pebble Infinability, and the position of the holy horse. If the lubber ne bohar laid his horker to the river, save the gyre go, and the darden going on in his mount of knowledge munt, he would nor hear a flip-flap in all Finnyland. Witchman, watch of your night. Es vos, es nos, not vos, guess known. It goes, it does not go. Dark parks so cool with sucking loves. Rosy months by her wishing well. Soon temps and tools will stroll adventure and hunt by threes, strut musketeering, brace of girdles, brass of boys, with the width of the way for jagjoy. Hulkers yeklist elbow nonsense, hold hard, and his dithering dathering waltzers of strite. But meetings made not as foresaying, Hesperons. And if you want to live, moth wenderer, while Jemson's weed decks Jackson's island, here lurks, bar hell pell who pull the bell, none iron welcome. Bing, bong, bang bong, thunderation. You took with the mullygrubs and we lack molsome? No, Sir Bob. Great goodness, no. Were you Marley Queen of Scots, or but Christian the last? Our duty to you, Chris, royalty, squat. How mat's your mark, though looked your jowl. Here's dapple-bellied mugs and trouble-bedded rooms, and sawdust strown in expectoration and for ratification by specification of your information, Mr. Knight, Tun-tapster, Buttles. His elf rose up to his hip, and what's he like sees after all rinsings, and don't miss Kate, home swab homely, put in with the bricks. A's the sign and one's the number, where Chevy out chaser calls the cup, and Portum stands a stirrup. Did out wheeze bees de Kierkegaard? So who over comes ever for whoopee weeks must but put up with the jug and the chambers. But heed, our 30 minutes war's a lull. All's quiet on the feld of Gorey. Between the star forts and the thornwood, brass castle flams with mutton candles. Hushka a horn, Garo magtog, goddess El, housefather calls and threateningly from Brandenborg and Thor, at asses Arthur, in thundercloud periwig, with lightning bug a flash from a finger. His souls, and by jings, should he work his jaw to give down the banks and heart from his tomb, ass and gosa pokes in her pot still, to souse at the sop be sodden enow, and to hear to all the bubbles be saying, the coming man, the future woman, the food that is to build, what he with 15 years will do, the ring in her mouth of joyous guard, stars astirred and stirred about, a palash for hers, a saucy for hers, and ladle-like spoons for the warner. But ane and twee were never worth three, so they must have their finals since he's on parole. Et Napoleone has the choice of her lives between Josephinus and Mary Louise, for who is to wear the lily of Bohemia, Florestan, Thaddeus, Hardresser Miles, and lead raptivity captive, ready, like a Finn at a fair. Now for la bella, I see la belle. The campus calls them, Ninan, Ninan, the Gatling gan. Childs will be wilds, 'twas told, and vamp, 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 the girls are merchant. The horse show magnate draws his field, and don't the fillings fly. Educande of Sorrento, they knew no well their Vico's road, ranked in their array and flocking for the fray on that old orangerie, Dallybray. For these are not on terms, they twain, bar trossers, since the baffle of Waterloos, when Adam left us and the devil took our hindmost, gifting her with his pain-apple, nor will not be atoned at all in fight to no finish, that dark deed doer, this well-willed wooer, jerk off and eat soup, yem or yan, while Felix is who Copus does, and Harmsworth healing, and Brune is bad French for Giordano. Tiggers and tuggers, they're all for Tenzonis. Bethlem braves, for she must walk out, and it must be with who? Teas for him, toes for him, toss for him too, else there is danger of solitude. Post reintroducing Jeremy, the chestnut coulter, the flowing towel that brooks no brooking, runs on to say how, as it was mucho later foretold of him by a time-killer to his space-maker, velos ambos and orbiat gnicts, with their tails within wheels and stocks between spokes, on the hike from Elm Street to Stane and back, how, running a wage with the use of reason, 6, and ramming a mock at the break of his voice, 6. His laughter's haft was set forgetting the bester whole of his jungen togend, for control number thrice was operating, the subliminal of his invaded personality. He know a bit smurfy and go poultry and let all the Tondo gang bola del Rufo. Barto no know him more. Eat larto altruist with most perfect stranger. Boo, you're through. Who? I'm true. Mentik and a tea simmering. Hamo mavron kerio. Tea party, cad knows. Anything ruined. Meetingless. He wept in the interim. With such a tooth he seemed to love his wee tart when by. Highly my morning he see the before him, Melaine from nape to kneecap, though wide from her girders up. Holy Sant'Auto, cursing saint, sight most delicious to ross up the spibles like exude of Margery. And how him it heavy-aired, that eye rim rust, as they bear falls witless against thee, how slight becomes a hidden wound. Sold water he wash him all time, biggie feller, bruisey place blong him. He no want Mrs. Blong, all boy other feller, other look bruisey place blong him. Hence, it will paineth the chestnut in that wear of his wents. He had loseth his wants for every, even though mold grow more and more manner reached, and the tararara boom decay. Immaculacy give but to drink to his shirt, and all skirters must change their tunics. So ward he from first to last, four-band in betweenly a smuggler for lifer. Lift the blank, he veered his hile, split the wide, and I sees heaven. He knows, for he's seen it in black and white through his eye trumpet trained upon jennies, and all that sort of thing, which is dandy mount to a clear obscure. Pretty maid tints may try their taunts, apple, pacante, custard, dove, Eskimo, feldgrau, hematite, isinglass, jet, kipper, lucille, mimosa, nut, oysterette, prune, quasimodo, royal, sago, tango, umber, vanilla, wisteria, x-ray, yes please, zaza, philomel, the rose. What are they all by? She. If you nude her in her prime, make sure you find her complimentary, or, on your very first occasion, by Angus Dagdassin and all his picayons, she'll prick you where you're proudest with her unsat spiegel eye. Look sharp, she's signalling from among the asters. Turn again, wistful tone, load mere to Avdoptlin. Arise, land under wave, clap your lingus to your palate, drop your jowl with a jolt, tambourine until your breath slides, pet a pout and it's out. Have you got me, Ally Sloper? My top it was brought a kills low, my middle I ope before you, my bottom's a valser if ever they're valsed, and my hoe the flower that stars the day, and is solly well worth your pilger's fart. Where there's a hitch ahead of things, let Henker's halter hang the halunkin end. For I see through your weapon that cries not coccolus, and his eyelids are painted. If my tutor here is cut out for an old boar, I'm flow shy of peeps, you know. But when he beetles backward, ain't I fly? Pull the boch be to see how we sleep. Peep, 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 het. Would you like that lump of a tongue for lunging? or this turkey's delighter, his hyphen mice. My belly swains a 12th, woder us or power, though he knows as much how to man a wife as Duncle Dalton of matching wools. Shake hands through the thick luck, sweet swan water, my author is mouth-filled, this kissing wild's full of killing fellows, kneeling voyantly to the cope of heaven. And somebody's coming, I feel for a fact. I've a secret to sell thee, if old Deans won't be trespassing. When you'll next have the mind to retire to be wicked, this is as dainty a way as any. Underwood spells bushman's business, so if you sprig poplar, you're bound to twig this. 'Twas my lord of Glendalough benedicts the gape for me, that time at long entry, commanding the approaches to my intimast innermost. Look how they're browthered, 613s at Blanche de Blanches, of 3 behind street, and 2 Turnagain lane. Awa beg is my call-by, Magnus here's my max, Wonder One's my cipher, and 7 Sisters is my nigh-brood. Raruga Rab, will you not pick them in their pink of panties? You can colour up till you're prawn, while I go squirt with any cockle, when here who adows me in fox's sleep. But if this could see with its back-sight, he'd be the grand old green-eyed lobster. He's my first view mark since Valentine. Winks the winning word. Luck. In the house of breathings lies that word, all fairness. The walls are of rubenin, and the glitter gates of elfinbone. The roof hereof is of massicious jasper, and a canopy of Tyrian awning rises and still descends to it. A grape cluster of lights hangs there beneath, and all the house is filled with the breathings of her fairness, the fairness of fondants, and the fairness of milk and rhubarb, and the fairness of roasted meats and onion margates, and the fairness of promise with consonantia and avowals. There lies her word, you reader. The height hereup exalts it, and the lowness her down abaseth it. It vibroverberates upon the tegmen, and prosplodes from Pomeria. A window, a hedge, a prong, a hand, an eye, a sign, a head, and keep your other auger on her pay. And you have it, old Sam, pat as I be seated. And Sonny, my gander, he's coming to land her, the boy which she now adores. She doors. Oh, backed van dem Zug, make a wig for their tug. With a ring-ding-dong they raise clasped hands and advance more steps to retire to the psalm. Curtsy 1, curtsy 2, with arms akimbo, devotees. Irrelevance. All sing. I rose up one Maypole morning and saw it in my glass, how nobody loves me but you. Ooh, ooh. All point in the Shem direction as if to shun. My name is Misha, but call me Toffee Tough. I met mean Metten Choff. It was her, boy the boy, that was loft in the larch. Oh, oh. Her reverence. All laugh. They pretend to help while they simply shouted it himself to make him preach. And if North cricket, Sally Lums, not by ever such a lot. 29s of bloomers gigging e'en man arose. Avis was there and trilled her about it. She's her sex for certain. So to celebrate the occasion, willest thou Rossi Banders have eind? He simules to be tight in ribbings round his rumph corpse. Are you swarthins that hits on a shorn style? He makes semblant to be swiping their chimblies. Can you adjure a jewel from Shidem? He finges to be cutting up with a pair of scissors, and to be bitings of their maidens and spitting their heads into their face pairs. Spick spook, spoken. So now be hushy, little pukers. Side here rooshes, cleany fooglers. Grancy sellies, all stay zitty, adultero, rest as before. For you've jolly welly dawdled all the day, when ye culf 10 tantacles happed, and there'll be largely temps for that. Yet's the time for being now. For a burning wood is come to dance inane. Glamours hath moitered leaves, and herefore corridors must leap no more. Lack breath must leap no more. Let laws for libelman libeling his lore. Lo, Lieberman, you love to be leaving Libnius. Lift your right to your liber lord. Link your left to your lass of liberty. La, Lieberman, your lap's but a loop to lee. A fork of hazel o'er the field invokes the vervain virgins old. If you cross this road as you roamed the rand, I'm blessed, but you'd feel him a blasting rod. Behind me, freeze from evil smells, perdition stinks before us. A gaggle the reps, they flew to Nebnos, Will and Rosocal. Twice is he gone to quest of her, thrice is she now to him. So see we so as seed we sow. And their pronkt queen kilt her kirtles up and set out, and her troop came healing, oh. And what do you think that pride was dressed in? Volikins diam and dying is vestin. Forever they sent where'er she went, while all the fawn's flares widens wild to see a floral school. Led by Lignifer, in 4 hops of the happiest, ach, Beth hacked off, a marrer of the sward incoronate. The few fly the far between, we how many money on that piebald nig. Will any double-dabble on the bay? Nor for Yokubus, Nick for Jay. Atta tata lad, get up, goth scourge on you. There's a visitation in your impluvium. Hun. He stanth there's mum, in his natural, oblius, autumnisically of his very proprium. Such is stockpot leaden, so did Sanspun Crake. The want to be wanton made a will to be wise. Thrust from the light, apophato rejected, he spores loves from her heats. He blinketh, but wraths the higher where those wreathe charity. For all these have been this worlder's time liquesing into state. Pitiless age grows angelhood, though as he stays, most anything may befall him, from a song of a witch to the totter of black arse, given a famished devil, a young sorceress, and eternal conjunction, the permission of overalls with the cooperation of nightshirt. If he spice east, he seethes in sooth, and if he pierce north, he wilts in the west. And what wonder, with the mercury vice-hide in the shade, the specks on his lap span are his foul-deed thoughts, wish-marks of mad amalgamation. Take they off, make they off, but funny legs are leanly, a bim-bam-bum. They vain would convert thee to be hers in the word. Gosh, they wooed, gash, their fair ripe cherry. As for she could shake him, and oaf no more. Still he'd be good tutor too, in his big armchair learning stole, and she be waxing in his hands, turning up and fingering over the most dangtalizing peaches in the longerous book of the dark. Look at this passage about Galileotto. I know it's difficult, but when you're gauche, I go dead. Turn now to this patch upon Smacchiaveluti. Suta lords, he's sure to spot it. 'Twas ever so in monitorology, since headmaster Adam became Eva Hart's toucher in omnibus moribus et temporibus, with man's mischief in his mind, whilst her pupils swimmed to the heavenlies. Let his be exasperated, letters be blowed. I is a feminine person. O of provocative gender, you unisingular case. Which is why trumpers are mixed up in duels, and here's B. Rohan meets N. O'Hallan for the price of a thou. But listen to the mocking bird, to the micking bard making brard. We've heard it aye since songdom was gimmerel. As he was queering his shoulders, so was I. And as I was cleansing my Fausties, so was he. And as we were puffing our blowbags, so woe you. Come thrust, go parry, devoin a brathren dare. The mad long ramp of mankind's parliaments, the learned black lack learning, merciless as wonderful. Now may Saint Maui of the pleasant grin be your everglass and even prospect. Feeling dank? Exchange, reverse. And may Saint Jerome of the harlot's curse make family three of you, which is much a better. Gracias ago. And each was wroth with his other, and his countenance fell. The Bivitallines, Metellus and Amatelicos, her crown pretenders, obsinge-minded beakerers, weighing directly, Eurysae, each oxus other, superfetated, never cleaner of lamps frowned fiercelier on anointer of hinges, while their three grown girls, king's game, if he deign so, are in such transfusion just to know twixt timidity tumes. For gracious sake, who is orthodox, from whose heterotropic, the sleepy or the grouch? For shyly born and showy nurtured, exceedingly nice girls can strike exceedingly bad times, unless so rictly chosen by. What though of riches he have none, and hope dashes hope on his heart's horizon, to gar their great moments greater. The thing is, he must be put straight on the spot, no mere water stitchy stuff, in a self-made world that you can't believe a word he's written in, not for pie, but one's only owned by natural rejection. Charlie, you're my darling. So sing they sequent the ascent of man, till they go round, if they go round again before break parts and all dismissed. They keep, step, stop. Who is Fleur? Where is Ange? Or Gardoon? Creedless, croonless hangs his hawkery. There ain't no more red devil in the white of his eye. Brag lodite him to a catadoop. A contam quandam John Dom, sick of a suckbutt. He does not know how his grandson's grandson will stammer up in Peruvian, for in the earth's best idiom I have done it equals, I so shall do. He dares not think why the grandmother of his grandmother's grandmother coughed rusky with suchsky husky accent, since in the mouth art of the Slove, look at me now, means I once was otherwise. Not that the Mappamond has been changing pattern as youth plays moves from street to street, since time in the races were and wise ants hoarded, and the Saunterelles were spendthrifts. No thing making new thing, wealth show ever for a silly old sar, healthy to better than late to wiser, nor that the turtling of a London's alderman is ladled out by the waggerful to the regionals of Pygmyland. His part should say in honour bound, so help me Simithyu, Simmark, Seluk, and Sinjin. I will stick to you by gum, no matter what. Bite Simbum. And in case of the event coming off beforehand, even so you was to release me for the sake of the other cheap girl's baby's name. Plaster me, but I will pluckily well pull on the buckskin gloves. but Nuri Nari's actual ingrate tootle is of come into the garner mave, and thy nice are stores of mourning, and buy me a bunch of iodines. Evidentament he has failed as tersely as the deuce before, for she is wearing none of the three, and quite as patently there is a hole in the ballot trough, which the rest fell out, because to explain why the residue is, was, or will not be, according to the 8th axiom, proceeded with, namely, since ever apart that gasan doed, so sure as there's a patch on a pomelo, this yam ham in never could live could, the shifting about of the lassies, the tug of love of their lads ending with a great deal of merriment, hoots, screams, scarf drill, cap fecking, ejaculations of orinos, rechowable mirth peals, and general thumb-to-nosery. Miam is a young country. One must reckon with the sudden and gigantic appearance, unwithstandable, as a general election in Barnado's bearskin, amongst the broad middle of this village childergarten of the largely long-suffering Laird of Lokenhoff. But vray de vray, blank de blank, God of all machineries and tombstone of Barnstaple, by mortisection or vivissuture, splitting up or recompounded, and Isaac Jocelyn more Milesian, how accountibus for him more blue? Was he pitched for an ensample as certain have dog-nosed of him against our sea-wall by Rory, Toth, and Cleaver, those 3 stout swain-hearts, Orion of the orgiasts, Mearshaw McMewen, the ipsy-dad and product of the extremes, giving quotidians to our means, as might occur to anyone, your Brutus Layman, with a princess champion in our archdeaconcy, or so he clept from Cleo's clippings, which the cruncher of chivalries is so spicious save he scan. For ancients link with presence, as the human chain extends, have done, do, and will again, as John, Polycarp, and I renews, eye to eye witnessed to the Paddy Palmer, while monks sell you to archers, where the water of the Libyan goes the way of all fish, from Sarah's drawhead the quarrelsome, to Isaac's the loft but one. With her minilisp extorior to his monoloth interned, so Perichon with Bastien, or heavy Humph with Erinan, Ricka-racka brimbilly jicky joka jalakas, how sawest thou, Dosia Samika? And ab ad abu abiad, a babble men dub goats of tears. The mar of murmury murmurs to the mind's ear, uncharted rock, evasive weed, only the call knows his 1,001st name. Hocus crocus, esquilocus, fin the finiant, how feel full foes in Furinar. Doth it not all come after you, purity snooper, in the way television opes long times after, when Potalamuck, Salter, and Soured Annapolis, the Lollapalooza? The charges are, you will remember, the chances are, you won't bit. It's old Joe the Java Jane, older even than Adam Costello. And we are all recurrently meeting him par mahon mesme in psychoanalysis from space to space, time after time, in various phases of scripture as in various poses of sepulture. Greets God, groceries, Merodach, defend the king, hoet of the rough throat, attack but whose say is soft, but whose E has acute angle, and whose hot is a hisserlick, even as her hennins aspire. And in so daintily she's a quine of Selm, a shaker, while as a murder of corpse, when his maggots up, he's the best berathon sanger in all the isles of Scaldignavia. As who shall hear, for now at last is long a bed going to be gone to, that more than man, prince of Bunnycombe and of wild roadsters, the herb lord of gilly flowerets, so fain fan to flatter about. Artho is the name is on the hero, capilli sato, shoe-handed slaughterer of the shader of our leaves. Attach him, hold, yet stir thee to clay, Tamor. Why wilt thou e'er waken him from his earth, O summon or other? He is weather-bitten from the dust of ages. The hour of his closing hies to hand, the toxin that shall claxonize his whereabouts. If one who remembered his web goods and tea-lofts were to ask of a hooper for whose it was the storks were quitting Aquileria, this trundler would not wot. If other who joined faith when his depth charge bombed our barrels spillway were to, Jehoshaphat, what doom is here? Rain ruth on them, sire. The wing of Moichel cover him, the bullion bros brute, quarantine him, calaver a caution, slaves to virtue, save his very totem. Bear air a toliaris, procul albeit, the ivor bone agorder of Danamar and Arca be his Hector protector. Voldemar was Vasa, peel your peeps, and try to save your eyes the nights of labour to the order of our brooding world. While Pliny the younger writes to Pliny the elder his Calamaliumen of Cantumelas, what Aulus Gellius picked on Micromacobius, and what Vitruvius pocketed from Cassiodorus, like we learnt from the Buke of Lucan in Dublin's capital, Congdam Coombe. Even if you are the cooper of the winkle over measure, never lost a licence, nor for ducking Daunchy Devos from bath and breakfast, and for the honour of alcohol drop, that you know what I've come about I saw in your act, heir. Punch may be pottle proud, but his Judy's a wife's wit better. For the producer, Mr. John Baptister Vicar, caused a deep abuliousness to descend upon the father of truants, and, at a side issue, Pluto promptly brought on the scene the cutlet-sized consort, foundling filly of 40-shilling Foster Taylor and Shipman's Shappahoyden, weighing 10 pebble 10, scaling 5 footsie 5, and spanning 37 inches round the good companions, 29 ditties round the wishful wastress, 37 alsos round the answer to everything, 23 of the same round each of the quis separabeats, 14 round the beginning of happiness, and nicely 9 round her shoed for slender. And her you could pray mercy to goodness, or help with your hokey or me hokey poo. Gallus's hen has collared her pullets. That's where they have reglias for. Their bone of contention, flesh to their thorns, pressed as prestissima, makes often a thinking, and not one hen only, nor two hens neither, but every blessed Bridget come a clocking and a clacking, while a rum-a-rum, the ram of all horns, beer, vision, spirituosin for consumption on the premises, advocat without and pleaders, mas marit, pas pulit, ras roddest of all. Those flammy festoons from gallanty flowers is hewed and cried of each his colour. Home I'll go, hallom, blare no more rams blares, Admund Brooks, and cease your fumings, kindowed bushies, and sherry-goaties, yes, McNays. Your wild show moves swiftly sternward, for here the holy language soon's to come to pause. 'Tis gold, het best, for they are now tearing, that is, tear tory torning, Too soon are coming task books and goody hominy bread and Bible be, with jaggery yo and juju jar, finds French phrases from the grand-mère des grammaires, and bothered parsnaps from the four massors, Mattathias, Marusius, Lucanius, Jocanius. And what happened to our 11 and 32 anti-post-dating the vulgar ire? And why is limbo, where is he? And what are the sound waves saying? Ceased ere they all weighed wrong, and amnest anguished axes callous. And where Fishnagaman fetched the munga fesh from, and what for paddy bird not pleased rancoon, and why was sin that sitting on him sit bomb like a sailed oar? With what the dock did in the Doyle, not to mention define the hydraulics of common salt, and its denier creed of old Provence, where GPO is Zentrum and DUTC are radiant, right down by the frequency of the scores and crores of your refractions, the valuations in the price of dingy-engings on NCR and SCR. The price of dingings on NCR and SCR. That little cloud, Anubulissa, still hangs the sky. Sing-a-bed soaks before slumber. Light as night has an Alps on his druckhouse. Thick head and thin butter, or after you with me. Caspi, but Gurlog stings the air. Gay legs to right of us, Galax to laughed. What is a maid to do today to do? So Angaland all weeping been that Izzy most unhappy is. Fain Essie fie unhappy, laughs Sir Stella's Vesperine, while running about their ways, going and coming, now at Rimbaramba, now in Trapizza Trabazza, pleating a pattern grand geomatron, showed them of grace hoppers, ant skippers and coney farm lepers. They jeerily along, Dorian gay and Marian maidcap, Lo Dariu beside La Matieto. All boy more, all girl sing out feller, longa house, blong more huddy, Wallace nin, 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 that Borman's clock, a whinny on the tinny side, nin, 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 about old Father Barley, how he got up of a morning early, and he met with a platinum blondes named Hips and Halls, and fell in with the fellows of Trinity, some header scowed shawns like, oh, you'll catch it, don't fret, Mr. Tumpty Lumpty, come indoors, coffee nosy, and shed your swank. And Daddy Deacon, who could stow well his place of beacon, but he could hold his kerosene's candle too. The nurse'll give it you sucky pots, and you wait, my lass, of fecking between. Bold Farmer Burley, who walked up in a hurly-whirly, where he hardly could waddle to wallow his wig till bag of the baker's booth to beg of, you're well held now, Missy Cheekspeare, and your pantos off. Fie for shame, Ruth Whittaker, after all the booze said. It'll diddy achin for the prize of a piece of bacon, with a pinch of the panch of the paunch and juries for, crab eyes, I have you showing off to the world with that gape in your stocking. Wold Forrester Farley, who, in diasporation at the diasporation of his diaspiration, was found of the round of the sound of the lound of the Lucador en dundor escudi lushu fermo porteri tumi zubi vafelanda borten sport eoncolanda croid verijaka paka pok. By far, up loud, the play thou shalt burst, game here endeth, a curtain drops by deep request. Up loud remain, gone the gods, gunners got spells. When the H, who the who, how the who, where the hewer, orbiter answers, lots lives lost, Fiona is fed up with the Fidge Fudsons, Sealand snores. Reddening rocks, frogs, reckoning rains, goods with gurs are derming, hulls, vulls, the timid hearts of words are exiom nascent, managad, lamlalo, how do that come? By dad, you'd not heed that fert, Frogetu ze just rowed down into it. Quach, and bonk silly doodle, kadoosh. Of their fear they broke, they ate wind, they fled. Where they ate, there they fled. Of their fear they fled, they broke away. Go to, let us extol Azrael with our harks by our brews, on our jamses in his gates. To Mezusalem with the Nephilim did its thinkins dud. Yip yup yara. And let Neculin extol Macmackle, and let him say unto him, Imi, Ami, Semi, and shall not Babel be with Lebab? And he war, and he shall open his mouth and answer, I hear, O Ismael, how they loud is only as my loud is one. If Neculin shall be heaven fouled, surely Makor havens. Go to, let us extol Makor, yea, let us exceedingly extol. Though you have lain among our pots by excellency is over Ismael. Great is him who is over Ismael, and he shall mechanic of Macnaculon, and he did. Up louder amain again, for the clearer of the air from on high has spoken in tumbulum dum tambaudam to his tembudim tumbaldum world, and more gifanoised by that phenomenon, the inhabitants of the earth have terrorumbled from firmament unto fundament, and from tweedledee-dums down to tweedledee-dees. Loud hear us, loud graciously hear us. Now have thy children entered into their habitations, and nation glad, camp meeting over, to Shinnet Gov be thanked. Thou hast closed the portals of the habitations of thy children, and thou hast set thy guards thereby, even guarded Didymus and guarded Domus, that thy children may read in the book of the opening of the mind to light, and err not in the darkness, which is the afterthought of thy no matter by the guardians of those guards which are thy bodemen. The cheery boyum, cheery both, with the kerry bombers in their crubeams. Pray your prayers, Timothy, and back to Bunk Tom. Till tree from tree, tree among trees, tree over tree become stone to stone, stone between stones, stone under stone forever. O loud, hear the we beseech of each of these thy unlitten ones. Grant sleep in hours time, O loud, that they take no chill, that they do mean no murder, that they shall not go meet mad Hawaiiatries. Loud, heap miseries upon us, yet entwine our arts with laughters low. Ha, he, hi, ho, hoo, mum, mum.